Alright, so in this video we're going to take a look at printing a second color in black. I already have some sponges that are used for black ink, and here I'm putting down my printing plate using a mixture of water and gum arabic to try and hold it into place. Before we begin, as always, we're going to just kind of warm up our ink a little bit, make it a little bit easier to roll out. Now, one of the things that you may notice in this video is that there are little bits or congealed pieces of ink as I'm rolling this out. This is just a tester image, so I'm not overly concerned, but this ink was old and had started to dry out and kind of skim over in the container. Normally, if I were looking at doing something more a more refined print, so to speak, I would be making sure that I wasn't using that skimmed over ink. Okay, so again, I'm kind of wetting down my plate for the first time. It's moving around a little bit too much. This is an indication that I probably could have used a little bit more gum arabic on the bottom side of the plate in order to stop it from moving about. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to roll out the ink. And just as I did with my previous color, I'm going to be kind of working in a couple of different directions in order to make sure that it's evenly covered. And the other sponge there that you see me using, that one has a little bit of toothpaste mixed in with the water for just kind of making sure that I'm cleaning up any of the different areas. What I'm noticing as I'm watching back the video play is there seems to be a little bit of excess water on the printing plate, which is going to create a little bit of bleeding. Okay, so as I'm placing the paper, I'm making sure that the registration marks that I placed onto the back while I was printing the first color are lined up with the T-bar registrations that are currently on the back of the paper and on the registration guide. So after putting it through the press, again, carefully just making sure that I'm removing the blotting paper from the back, and then very, very carefully peeling back in order to get the first print. Right, again, printmaking is all about making multiple editions, so throughout the rest of the video, I'm going to be making multiple copies. You could see that there was a little bit of yellow residue left on the printing plate. That's because I haven't quite waited long enough for the ink to dry. So I'm cleaning that off with the toothpaste solution in order to make sure that it's clean for the second run through. Again, rolling out the ink, going in a couple of different directions. And again, as I'm going through, I'm going to be making sure that there is that the paper is lined up on the T-bar registration. You can see that I've also gone in and used some paper towel to clean up some of that extra water and lining up the paper again with the registration guides. I'm going to be pushing this print through the press. Right, just back and forth. And again, removing the image. Okay, so overall, the registration seems to be actually quite good. There are a little bit of shifting happening between the two colors, but as this is just a kind of a quick experimentation, I'm not overly concerned. I've gone through and I'm cleaning up the plate again, removing some of that excess water. I've been using the toothpaste solution to clean up the background area, and then applying a little bit more moisture with the water gum arabic mixture before rolling it out once again. You'll notice also that as I go through this printing process, the plate becomes more and more charged. It doesn't take quite as much effort to apply the ink onto the plate now that I'm onto the third print, lining up the paper with the registration marks, placing the paper, putting the felt down, and just rolling it through. Right? I think I should mention that the felt that I'm using here is just something that has been purchased from the local fabric store. It's nothing overly elaborate, and it seems to be working just fine. Okay, so I've been able to create 3 pretty good prints, but on this one, you saw me there point out that there was a little bit of marking on the background from different pieces of ink or splotches of ink that were residue on the background, which requires a little bit of additional cleaning. Okay, so again, inking up the plate. And this time I'm going to be using a piece of paper that is a little bit larger because I'm wanting to pull just an image that is of just the solid black color without any of the yellow, just so that we can kind of see the difference between the two plates and their image quality. You'll notice also that I haven't used a pre-cut piece of paper. This paper is a little bit larger, and up in the top left-hand corner, the ink that is on the press bed happens to be coming off onto the paper as well. So, right, it's just something to keep in mind that the paper always does need to be a little bit smaller than the actual plate. I'm going to be doing this one a second time because I found that I didn't have the greatest coverage of ink on that first pull, and I just wanted to have another proof that had bolder, more intense black overall. Okay, so cleaning up the plate once more and placing the paper. Right, because this isn't using a second color, I'm not worrying too much about where it's being placed down onto the plate. Right. In that particular instance, you saw that the plate or the paper moved a little bit over top of the plate. That is something that you want to try and avoid.